This lesson introduces a deployment exercise. I hope you have the time to try the exercise. Just going through the steps at least once makes a lot of the details that we've been covering come clear. I'm in my bash prompt, as you can see, on my MacBook Pro. Let me show you what the working directory looks like. Build.xml, of course, is the Ant script that we've been considering. And there's the source subdirectory. Let me show you its contents. There's a web.xml on the right that contains a welcome file whose target is hi.jsp. And we'll look at hi.jsp in just a moment. So if the URL targets the war file, hi.jsp within the war file is picked up automatically. There's also a subdirectory called exercise1, and in there is a very simple source file for Java, hi.java. So as you might guess, this is Hello World done as a web app. Structurally, this is a bit more complicated than the introductory example because there's some Java that now needs to be compiled. So let me clear the screen and let me now do the build. Ant -d, war name equals, we could call it anything, let's call it hello, and let's deploy it. So the screen now fills with these confirming messages. We'll clear once again. So as you can see, there is now the war file. Let's look at it very quickly, although I've got a document to go through the important pieces. You can see there's the web.xml in the right place. Hi.class, the compiled file, is in the right place. I also include the source code just for completeness. In a production environment, you would not include the source code, but it doesn't do any harm in this case. Let's test this just to make sure it's running. As you can see, I did that earlier. So I'll just do a refresh. And basically, you can see Hello World, and I'm picking up some dynamic content here, the current time. Let's get into some of the details. So I'm going to switch over to my Emacs editor. And this file is called deploy_exercise.txt. And here are the important pieces. There's the web.xml, the hi.jsp, and the second piece, exercise1 hi.class. That's the compiled Java. All of that has been built from the build directory. We're going to see something a bit new here. We'll come back and cover it in more detail later. But hi.jsp has something we've not seen before, and that is down here. You see JSP usebean ID equals. So I've got two of these. The first ID is now, the second is hi. These basically act as object references in Java code. Corresponding to these are classes. This is, of course, a standard Java class, java.util.date. And this is my programmer-defined class, exercise1.hi. Notice when specifying the class, we give the data type, we don't give the name of the file. In other words, there's no extension here. With these two in place, I can now use an old-style JSP expression. So this is going to write the response. Hi is an instance of exercise1.hi. Get greeting. As you might expect, this is just a standard property. That's going to return hello world. I'm going to concatenate that with the @ surrounded by a couple of blanks. And of course, the Java compiler, as usual, is going to change that now into now toString conceptually. So what we're going to get is what we saw on the screen. Let's refresh just to show the thing is still running. So we get hello world @ and then we get the string representation of the current time. The programmer-defined class is in an explicitly named package. I'll repeat this several times, but that's really important. You want an explicitly named package for any of your back-end Java beans. I've got a no argument constructor just out of best practices. And here's my getGreeting method, which implements the read side of a greeting property. And as you can see, it just returns hello world. All of the pieces are in place, but the Ant script has to do a bit more work now, so it has to do some compilation. Let me go back to the bash prompt to do one more point. In this particular application, all of the compilation can be done using core Java libraries. Eventually, however, we're going to get into servlets, And core Java does not include the servlet classes, so for that, let me show you where we're going to be picking those up from the Ant script. Tomcat 8 lib. This is the lib subdirectory, and as you can see, there's a couple of dozen jar files in here. The really important one is in the second column, third down, you see servlet API.jar. That basically has all of the standard packages for Java servlets. Immediately above it, you can see JSP API.jar, and there's some other jar files that are relevant as well. In general, my Ant script is going to put all of these jar files that ship with Tomcat on the class path for compilation. In summary then, this first deployment exercise doesn't require any programming. That's quite deliberate, but I hope you get a chance to do it because I think the details of deployment will become much clearer then.